If you want to see me use the Alyssa Edwards palette by Anastasia, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène, and yes, we are going to play with this palette. It is one of the last two palettes. I technically have four, but two of the newer palettes from ABH that I have not used yet. I went on a little bit of an ABH craze while they had a bunch of discounts in March, and I'm slowly making my way through. And I have been saving this one because there are some that I either am worried about being disappointed with because I've made them so important in my mind. One of them is Modern Renaissance, the other one is Riviera. And then this one, just because I do quite like Alyssa Edwards and I really want to like this. I did put a lip color on from the ABH lip palette, but I will change it based on what I end up doing here. So I may have a clashing look there for a while, but we'll fix it at the end. I do have all my base makeup on. If you want to see exactly what I used, it's always in the description box for you. And let's crack into this one. It's very shiny, so my apologies if the ring light is driving you crazy. And the palette is the same. It's also very shiny. And I do really like this kind of packaging by ABH because it's not dirty, right? I mean, the velvet and the Riviera packaging, which is kind of a canvas, it does get dirty very quickly. And so this is a packaging option that I prefer. And really, it's the kind of packaging option I would expect from a drag queen, because when they get into their palettes based on the RuPaul Drag Race, their palettes are a mess. So eyeshadow gets everywhere, and this allows you at least to keep some sort of semblance of order and cleanliness. So if you haven't seen this palette, this is what it looks like. I have swatched it. And some of the colors may show up more blue on camera than they are in real life, especially the bottom row. And I'm going to put the swatches right there for you. I am going to do a neutral look with this palette. That's my goal today. I know, I don't usually do that, but that is what I'm going to do today. So there are quite a few neutral colors in here actually. And we are going to see what I can come up with. And who knows, maybe the lip color will be okay based on what I pick here. So I'm going to focus on the first quad at the front here. There are a few, I mean the purple and this one are not too colorful. The BBDC, her dance company, that's deep enough aubergine to be usable. So I have no plan. I'm just going right with you on camera. We're going to figure it out. All right, so I'm going to stop talking about the palette and start using the palette, and hopefully I will not disappoint. So I have on my eyes right now the wheat color from the Smashbox Matte Exposure, which is my Penna palette. And I don't think it's going to clash with anything that I'm putting on my face afterwards, so that should be fine. And I don't want to go for the obvious nude look because that would be kind of boring. As the obvious nude look would just be to stick to this quadrant and call it a day, but I don't want to do that. So I think I'm going to go into Supreme to cover wheat a little bit with a color from this palette. I'm just tapping in. The mattes for ABH are always quite powdery, as are actually the Smashbox mattes, and that does not bother me at all. And I really hope this look turns out because I'm filming a number of videos afterwards. I'm actually cleaning off a long list of videos that have been gnawing at me because they are videos I've been wanting to do, and all the stuff for the videos is crowding my counter, and it's been weeks. And I have no idea what the barrier is for me to film those videos, but whatever it is, I'm going to bust through it today. So any video you see with this look, you'll know that that was one of the videos I wanted to produce for you, but for some reason, either because I find them really, really important or don't quite know how to go about it, that it has just been, they've been accumulating, and I need to fix that. So we're going to do that today. All right. So I will have a lot of very different content this week. And speaking of content, if you've been watching for a while and you haven't hit that subscribe button, just a thought, you might want to click that if you like watching these videos. It would help me out a lot. And if you hit the notification bell and select all videos, you'll never miss one of my uploads. So just a thought. I don't often do that, but once in a while I like to do the reminder in case you thought you were subscribed and you're not. Okay, good stuff. I'm liking that. So I'm going to take that same color and use the other side of the brush. So again, the Supreme. I think I'm going to do the other side right away. I don't know, I just feel like I should be doing that. So I'll do the other side and just speed through it for you. Okay, so we are back to choosing some colors here. I think I'm going to deepen up the Supreme with BBDC on the outer lid. And for that, I'm going to start with the fluffy side of the brush. And again, it's a matte, and I'm going to just stamp to begin with. And this one doesn't kick up as much as the Supreme. So that's interesting. I wish I could remember what all of the definitions were for the shadow names. There's only a few that I remember. But I will put a link to the video where Alyssa Edwards talks with Anastasia. No, not Norvina. Talks with Norvina about the meaning behind some, not all, but some of the shadows. I think it's helpful. And HOE does not mean what we might read it as right off the hop. So I thought that was funny. That looks pretty nice. I'm going to go in again. Tap, tap, tap. And then blend. I am liking this color so far, big time. And I'm going to bring it down on the lower lid, and I'm going to use the other side of the brush as usual. And I only put shadow on the one side that's going to be pointing upward, just to have more precision on its application. So I'm going closer to the lash line than I did with the Supreme. A little bit more, just picking up the kick up. think that looks good. And of course I'm big on purple, but it's kind of turning it a little bit on the pinker side, which I find interesting, and that's just because of the Supreme underneath, and I think that looks really good. Now for the inner to center lid, see how, I can't remember how opaque Inspire is, which is kind of a gold color. I think I could maybe get away with using it as a topper. I'm thinking of going to Unicorn Tribe, this one, on the inner to center lid, and then going into Inspire and trying to do a bit of a wash of gold over top. So we're going to try that. I think I'm going to speed up and do this on the other side, and then we'll get into that plan. Okay, I've done quite a bit on both eyes, but what I'm thinking though is I want to deepen up the BBDC on the outer lid, and I'm going to use that denser side of the brush to do that because I think that it needs to be deeper to bring the look together with what's going to go on the inner lid. And I'll do both sides right away. And then we'll get into the fun stuff of finishing up the look. I do appreciate the lack of fallout. That's been really nice. Even though the shadows are powdery for ABH, they don't tend to get all over the face. Okay, almost done here. There's a tiny bit of patchiness on this eye compared to this eye, but I may have had some moisture on this lid. That's what I'm suspecting, because there's no reason that the shadow would perform differently on each eye. And mattes and moisture do not mix. Well, I don't know very many eyeshadows, unless it's water activated, that mixes well with water, to be quite frank. Okay, I think that just deepened up the look. I think it looks pretty good. You may not think it's very neutral anymore, but I think it's relatively neutral. Okay, so let's go now and do the inner to center lid, and I'm just going to clean off the brush. I just use a washcloth. I don't use anything fancy to clean off the brush. Sometimes it's a hand towel, sometimes it's a face cloth, whatever. That's my fancy color switch. Although I do have a color switch now in the Moschino Sephora palette. Maybe we should do an eyeshadow bingo with that. If you'd be interested in that, just let me know. All right, so we talked about the Royal We Unicorn Tribe, so I'm going to go into that one next. And I think I'm going to go with the dense side of the brush just because I will be topping it off with something else. Okay, I guess this is no longer a neutral look. I should know myself. I say neutral and no, there's going to be color in there just because that's the way I roll. I almost went into Inspire right away. Can you tell I'm in a rush? I just want to see how it's all going to turn out because I have no idea if Inspire is going to work as just sort of a topper if I go lightly enough. We will find out. I hope you like purple and pink because that's going to be showing up in a few videos, that's for sure. I think this palette is on super sale right now too on ABH's site. If you've been thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it's a really, really good price. I saw it just by accident yesterday or day before. Hopefully at the point where you see this video, it will still be on sale. Makes me worried for ABH though, the amount of sales they've been doing or holding, it just seems like it's intense. Speaking of pinks, anybody pick up that 6-pan Rose palette by Pat McGrath? I'm curious. I have enough with the Divine Rose 2 right now. I did not pick it up. And 10% off just didn't seem appealing enough to me, but I would love to hear whether you picked it up or not. As I casually ask about an $88 Canadian palette. They're all a lot of money when it comes to Pat McGrath. I don't like the fact that there's really nothing on the inner lid, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of the Supreme again and just blend the Supreme in with Unicorn Tribe as I glance down to the palette to make sure I'm giving the right names. I don't know, there's just not enough color on the inner portion of my eye for my liking. Everybody's different. Not perfect, but I'll deal. Just going to use this brush to clean up a little bit on each side here. Just with whatever's left on the brush from having used wheat from the Smashbox Matte Exposure. And now let's go into Inspire, and I'm trying to think if I'm going to use a brush or not. If I use a brush, it has to be a really fluffy one. I think I'm going to use my finger and just tap really, really lightly. So again, Inspire is this one right here. And I might do, I'm all over the place. I'm going to use the fluffy side and just going to headliner and take care of my brow bone first. See, I'm being chicken. Apparently this is a pretty good white. And I did have the highlighter from the Cover FX Cream Quad on my brow bone, so the white is just kind of lightening it up, but the shine is still coming through. Okay, so now I'll stop being chicken. I'm going to go into Inspire with my ring finger, very lightly, and I'm going to just tap ever so slightly . And it's not quite giving me the effect I was hoping for. It's going to be more opaque than I was expecting. But I don't think it looks bad. I think I'm going to just finish up with the finger and then go in with my multitasker brush to get to the inner corner and make it more even. This is the brush I'm talking about. It's the brush I use in virtually every look on this channel and in everyday life. I'm just going to accentuate the color on the very inner lid and drag it up a little bit since it's going to be more opaque than I was hoping for. But that's it with first impressions for any shadow, right? You're not sure. You know by swatches, but you're not sure how the shadow is going to behave once it's on the eye. Okay, I do think it's pretty. And I think I'm going to go all in and go with a little bit more gold on the outer lid as well, just with whatever's left on the finger. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward and replicate what I did here on the other eye. I'm going to do just a little bit of cleanup. I went a little bit high. That was pretty effortless, that's good. And let's just even it out. So it looks like there's more depth to it on this side than this side. I'm going to try to go in with my pinky on this side and just make sure that it matches. Q-tips are a lifesaver. The Inspire is looking a little patchy on the inner lid now. But I think I'm okay with where it's ending up. So I am going to say this is the eyeshadow portion of my first impressions with the Alyssa Edwards palette. And now we're going to finish up the look. I will do it off camera, but I'm going to come back and tell you what it is that I did. And I think I'm going to change the lip because it's a little bit too peachy salmon for what I have up here. So I'm going to probably change it to more of a pinky mauve type of a lipstick. So I will do all of that and I will be right back. And this is the final look. If you want to see what it is that I used, I have a bunch of it on my hand here. So I did use the pot liner from Maybelline called the Eye Studio pot liner, I think. Let's just make sure this is what it looks like. And I just revived it actually with the Lise Wattier equivalent of a mixing medium, and it worked really well. I used 4 drops and it is back to its lovely creamy self. And it is the Blackest Black Maybelline Eye Studio. Yeah, that's what it is. So there we have it. So that's on my upper lash line. For my upper waterline, I used Perversion, which is getting pretty tiny, from Urban Decay, and it's this one right here. And when it is done, I will be quite sad because it's one that I've been saving because I find it's better than Zero, which is a similar black liner, but this one works better on the waterline because it's so creamy compared to this one. Although I'm using my Zero liner because I don't want to waste it, and I have a full size that I just cracked into it because I finished the other one. You don't need to hear the story of my life with liners, but I felt like sharing. And we have this one right here, which is Mildew. And Mildew is a beautiful liner from Urban Decay. And I was thinking of doing something more aquamarine, but I think that because I was trying to do more of a neutral look and there's gold, that Mildew was a really good complement to what is on the upper lid. And I think I called it right. I think it looks really good. But you tell me. Maybe I'm up to lunch. I've got 2 mascaras here, the Annabelle Skinny on my lower lashes, and by the end of the month I have to let this one go because it is very dry. And the Lancome Definicils is what I have on my upper lashes. 1 coat of Annabelle on the bottom, 2 coats of Definicils on the top lashes. Next, my lips, I used an ABH product, and that is the ABH Lip Palette, and I used the number 2. I used the brush with it, and I used the number 2, this one right up here. And I think that it goes really well with the look today, so I'm pretty happy with it. I was debating between it and the deeper one down here, but I think that would have been just too intense. So I'm pretty happy I went with the lighter color because for me, with my complexion, it still looks pretty deep. And if you're wondering, this palette, it's in my collection, but I tend to use it when other people come over and play with makeup. You can't really sanitize a lip palette, so I use the spatula in it to carve out some lipstick so that somebody can put it on just a palette, a flat palette, and use it themselves. And I've been really happy with having made this purchase for that purpose because it kind of sucks if people want to play with color and they do an eye look and then they don't have a lipstick that goes with it. I think that this kind of gives them the opportunity to do something to just kind of complete the look and feel like they've got it all covered, so to speak. And I topped the look all off with the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and I think I have one more use. This thing is so light. I'm pretty sure I'm done. Yeah, I thought I would be done last time, but I think that maybe one or two more uses. It's really feeling like there's nothing in here. Okay, with all of that, what are my thoughts on this palette? I think the look I came up with is really nice. Now, maybe it's not as neutral as I may have thought going in, but I do think that just using that front quad would have been a cop-out. That would just, now, I mean, that's a good thing. If I want to have a 5-minute look, that's where I'm going to go. If I have, you know, some business meeting or some situation where I want to have a very neutral look because I don't want to draw attention in any way, shape, or form. And we have those situations. So I would probably just stick with these 4 and these 2 down here, which I was initially thinking about. But of course, these 2 drew me in, and I felt like, probably because of the background of the palette, that they were neutral enough that they were passable. But I think this is more rosy purple than it is neutral. So it's not a neutral look. So I failed you and I apologize, but I really like what I came up with. Let me know what you think in the comments. I will take a flogging or some praise, whichever you feel like offering today. If you want other looks with this palette, if you have it and you're kind of going, what do I do with this? Or if you are curious about certain colors, let me know and I'm happy to do another look for you. And as I've said in previous videos, I don't mind these double-ended brushes from various companies. One palette I'm interested in is one from Sigma, just to see what their double-ended brush is like. I'm good with eyeshadow right now, but Sigma is going to be, I guess, on my list for 2021, because I don't think I'll be buying anything for a while. More on that in a separate video. But yeah, I don't mind these. I have no problem with having one of these to just in the palette for a travel situation or a need to do my makeup in the office situation, with maybe at most a couple of other eyeshadow brushes for getting really into the inner corner, that kind of thing. But in a pinch, this would work fine. And the tool of choice when you are stuck is always Q-tips. You can always do any sort of detail work with powder with Q-tips if you are really, really stuck, or a sponge tip applicator. Yes, I said it, a sponge tip applicator. So it's fine. It's fine. So why they get poo-pooed all the time, these and the Urban Decay brushes, no idea. I think they work fine. But that's my opinion. Is it nice to have 20, 25 brushes to choose from? Sure. But it is also, from a point of view of convenience, palettes with brushes are pretty awesome. Oh, and another brand where I like their brushes in the palettes is Smashbox, and I do talk about those brushes pretty often as well. Pretty good quality. Smashbox is known for their brushes, and you know, so I would recommend them. I'm just cleaning off that brush as we speak because I'm scared of putting eyeshadow powder laden brushes back in the palette. So overall, what do I think of this palette? I like it so far. I have used, what is it, 2, 3, 4. Am I missing any? I used Unicorn Tribe, BBDC, the Supreme, and Headliner. So that's 4 shadows. Yeah, 4, not too bad out of 14 colors. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I think that was enough to give me a little bit of a first impressions, but I do want to play with these other ones that are more significant as far as colors. And that yellow, I had to hold myself back from using that yellow today. I really like it, and that might be why I ended up using a green on the lower lashes, just wanting that punch of color somewhere. But at this point, I am rambling. Let me know what you think of the look. I appreciate every single video that you watch. I appreciate having you with me every time. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And like I said, I've got a number of interesting videos coming up on this channel, videos that I have been hemming and hawing and waiting to film for you. So hopefully you like them and it was worth the wait. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. But for now, take care.